on your phone, there's a whole world full of girls you could be looking at, homie. It's true, between me and you, it's only $5 and watch what they do. Let's get high, lose track of time. Come on, man, you know I'm a damn good time. Yo, if they're gonna post it, no clothing, oh my god, so exposed and everything. You might as well see everything, every inch, never leave or grow in need. Wait, maybe you should DM, be friends, pretend, the boyfriend, the deep end. She needs men, she needs you and your dues. Get out of my head, get out of my mind. I need to focus, I'm wasting my time. You make me feel hopeless, I'm wasting my prime. Fuck it, I'm going to war with my mind. I'm in control, my body and soul. Never again will you ever take hold. I've got a purpose outside of this hole, and I'll turn this feeling into something more. I could change, rearrange my brain. Thoughts and energy push through pain. Loneliness is a passing phase. A better life, it starts today. Once hopeless and broken, now I'm in motion. Just gotta stay focused. Keep moving, keep growing. Never look back, got a new path chosen.
When we are weak, when we are broken, that's when we're left open. In darkness lies all of our flaws that keep us hopeless. Numb our minds and choke us. I'm in control of life taking off. I'm crying out this hole. I'm finding my soul. Rewrite control.
Go. We used to have fun, hang out and smoke. Watch a little you know what a show. Drink a little bit of this, little that to cope. Yeah, wait, we used to have fun, right? Sleep in short days, but the long nights. You always love to go play, what a fun guy. But now you seem so lame, what a shame, right? Hey, come back, let's get high. We can have another run like the good times. We can have a little fun, just recline, me time. Hit over the wheel, you'll be just fine. Yeah, you know I'm always here for you. Life gets hard, there's a lot of fear for you. You know I can make it all disappear for you. Only one time, you'll be fine, man, I'll cheer for you. No, I don't wanna get back to a place that I really don't like, so I really gotta go. All the thoughts in the back of my mind, they be bigger at night when the dark takes hold. Gotta make my way to the light, feeling better inside every time I say no. I'm in motion, yeah, I've chosen different path, but we rap for the average control. I'm back, baby, better than never, no drag. Taking back everything I left, baby. Feel like me, I'm back, crazy. I took all that pain, put that energy to change. I will never be the same, I will never be the same.
New camera is working. How's that? How's the profile? Okay. So we're going to be doing some watch along today. I'd like to thank my cousin for helping me set up the camera. So my PA is here. She's doing good. Do you want to say hi?
What's up?
So there you go. All right. We are going to start. Okay. Let's get to our playlist. There we go. Okay. Echo.
All right, Christians, this needs
How's
to
that
stop.
go now?
After I went on Sean Ryan's podcast this
echo?
past week, I have gotten so many.
Okay, hey. I know I've been told I got an echo. Not sure why. Hey Lisa, how's it going? Okay, hold on. We're gonna be muting things. Give me a second. You okay? No echo? Okay. Desktop. Turn off that one. Okay, how's that? Sounds good? Echo good? Okay.
Good morning. It's 12:09 a.m. How can I help you start your day?
Right. Sorry to hear that, Lisa. I hope things are going better for you soon. Okay.
Messages from multiple pastors, some high profile, some not high profile, sharing with me how the last 2 weeks of their life has been extremely difficult, and encouraging me, thanking me for the amazing
We're in the wrong
conversation that I had with Sean Ryan to try and shine a light on the beauty of the local church. And the last several weeks, maybe it's not the last 2 weeks exactly, but the last several weeks have been hard for pastors, specifically on the heels of the Charlie Kirk assassination. More or less the response to that. Now, before I get to that, I want to show you guys a new study that just came out. This is from Lifeway Research, and I'm not going to go super long on this video. I want to respect your guys' time. But this study came out that said, according to Lifeway Research, 52% of pastors are seriously considering quitting ministry in the past year, with reasons including church conflict, unrealistic expectations, isolation, and burnout. Okay, so 42% of pastors have thought about quitting ministry in the last year. Not sure if you guys know this, but 47% of pastors are bivocational. The average pastor's salary is less than the average is less than the average public school teacher's salary. And so pastors are tired. They are exhausted. It's already a difficult job. When you think about what a pastor has to do, they have to be available to marry, bury, go to hospital visits, all of the practical counseling that happens. And then they also have to lead a staff, usually even if it's just a few people, maybe if it's a full staff. Then they also have to put together a Bible talk every single week.
Okay, so I don't actually care about this. I thought I would, but I didn't. Okay, let's go to the next one.
It's been an intense couple of days here recently. A lot's going on, and actually I think a lot of the narratives about what Britain is, ought to be, and the current state of it are resolving themselves. The contradictions within them are coming to a resolution, and this...
So the other thing that I got going on is that I did get a Rode mic, and I did get a proper mixer, but I got it to work for like 10 seconds, and then I downloaded the wrong driver, and all that went to crap. So I'm back to using the DXLR. Hopefully you guys can hear me fine. Hopefully it's not too overpowering, and hopefully it's not picking up whatever buzz it was picking up before. Any buzz? Okay, good.
Is imposing a series of conclusions on public discourse that people just really aren't ready to deal with. They're not actually prepared to genuinely engage with what we're being shown here. So you, of course, will remember the Labour conference where Keir Starmer said, if you even imply any of the immigrants who come here aren't English, we're coming for you with everything we've got. And then a Muslim man decided to murder some Jews outside of a synagogue on their holy day. Why would he do that? If everyone in the country is just English, what would be the reason for that? Why is it significant that that day is a day at all, other than a normal day ending in Y, if they're all just English? And the answer is, of course, they're not. The Jewish people are not just English, they're Jewish, they have their own culture, customs, history, won't play nice with one another. All day, today, all day, I was watching LBC, Times Radio, various other things that are crossing my timeline, and it's nothing but Jews ringing up these places saying, well, we don't feel safe in England anymore. It feels like actually the Muslim community might start turning on us. I hear that this is charity, consideration towards the Jewish community. Yes, they have their Palestine marches all the time, but we've just had a Muslim jihadi called Jihad al-Shami, which means jihadi from Syria, holy warrior from Syria, murder a couple of Jews outside of a synagogue on their holy day. So could we have some consideration from you?
The eye tracker.
And the answer is no. The goodwill is not forthcoming from the Muslim community to the Jewish community, because the Muslim community views the Jewish community as an undertaking a genocide. It doesn't. I'd actually rather it if we could just be honest about what the problem is and the actual way that it has to be resolved. We have to make a choice.
We're still working the bugs out, guys.
Which one of the Middle Eastern communities are we actually committed to? It's this one or this one? Because I don't...
So, I think that what's going on with the Muslim-Jewish integration in Britain is actually a good thing. You want true multiculturalism, melting pot like the U.S., I think, is the best way for that to work. I think when you have one group dominant against another group, especially in a religious or political sense, things get ugly and things get dicey. So I do think these are normal growing pains. I just think that these are growing pains Britain or the UK should have gone through a long time ago. All right, let's move on.
It's nice to meet you now, even if it's under difficult circumstances. If we have met before, thanks for checking back in with me. A couple of days ago, as I'm recording this, Charlie Kirk got shot. I was recording a video at a church from a tradition that's different from my own and learning about what they believe and why they believe it. And in the middle of that, I had a little bit of a breather and I grabbed my phone. And I normally don't have Twitter on my phone. I was traveling, trying to keep up on things. So I loaded up Twitter, and the first thing that came up on my feed didn't have any...
I'm going to have a video from him talking about why he's not Catholic. We're going to be doing that probably next week with 3 or 4 of the different big ones. It's going to be Redeem Zoomer, Gospel Simplicity, and Matt Whitman. And I believe maybe even one from Gavin Ortlund. We're going to look at why they're not Catholic. But that's going to be a different show on a different day.
Context. There was no verbal warning. There were no words in the tweet. It was just a video. And it's Charlie Kirk. This is a weird video. Why is he just sitting there like that? And then I saw it. I didn't ask for that. I didn't want that image in my mind. I didn't know what was coming. I had no warning. So there that is. I think I would probably be as sad and angry about what happened if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. But I'm a human, even living in a desensitized age. I guess I'm not that desensitized. That hit me hard. And that's somebody who's been doing this stuff.
So I've said this a few times now. The Charlie Kirk death didn't hit me hard at all. I wasn't a fan of his content. I wasn't someone who viewed myself as a Charlie Kirk supporter. I do think it changed things and changed things for the worse that he was assassinated. But I didn't have an emotional reaction. But there are people at where I work that did. Some people broke down crying. Some people left work. So it's an interesting thing where people who you maybe don't think of as too political or too religious-minded had a very strong reaction to the death and assassination of Charlie. But a lot of people that I know who are in these circles didn't. But we all, at least people who speak out about the things that I speak out about, had the same after reaction, which was that could have been us. I say things here all the time that people of a very liberal and progressive mindset do not like. I piss off Muslims, I piss off Protestants, and I piss off liberals a lot. And I could be talking about my ecumenicalism, I could be talking about my LGBTQ outreach, and be shot in the neck. And I know a lot of creators that had that reaction. So yeah, I've had my fair share of death threats on this channel, especially when my channel was more popular. I've had people mild stalking and not so mild cross-platform harassment. I usually just block them. I had, before that started happening, I had like an open door policy. I just didn't, I'm very anti-censorship, so I didn't want to use the block button. But eventually things started getting ugly enough that I did. So yeah, that's true.
Kind of for the same time frame I have been, that's somebody who, in agreement or disagreement or indifference, I at least have felt like has taken a pretty principled approach, that being go talk to people you disagree with and see if you can persuade them, and if so, it's a win. Maybe they'll tell you something you didn't know and you'll get persuaded. That would also be a win. Worst case scenario, at least you demonstrated that you think the other person is valuable enough to have tried and talked about the thing face to face. I agree with that approach. I like that approach. I don't embody that approach to the degree that somebody like
It's all right,
Kirk
Lisa.
does,
Have a good one.
I aspire to. And so to see that image was, I mean, it was shocking. It was jarring. It just hit on so many levels, and the most obvious of which, of course, is That's a dude, not even in his prime yet, doing the dad and husband thing, making an effort with people he disagrees with, pounding pavement, trying to advance his principles, and he's struck down. So I feel sad and angry on behalf of a lot of people vicariously. I feel sad and angry on behalf of myself. And I feel sad and angry on behalf of all of us. The conversation, my country, the West, the internet. That's an awful moment. And it's bizarre to take in what the fallout from all of this has looked like. On the one hand, I'm getting so much stuff in my feed.
So I think the fallout is relegated to the internet because in real life, I don't think people have followed through on that terror. I think most people have resolved it the way that we resolve something like the Kennedy assassination or something more along those lines. Something tragic that happened, that was televised. I do think that there are some people on the left who have turned it into a staging moment, but that's not really everybody in general.
From people behaving terribly in response to this by demonstrating indifference and even mockery toward Charlie's death. On the other hand, I'm seeing some over-the-top stuff from people with whom I share Christian faith, from people with whom I might agree on issues here and there. They're using words that I'm not crazy about, and that's troubling as well. However, the vast majority of people from across the political spectrum have behaved like humans, at least initially, in response to this. And at some point, instead of always being mad and everything always being a crisis, I think it's good to just pause and appreciate that for a moment. And in light of that, I want to speak a little bit more to what I've seen on the internet that I think are some fallacies, some flawed thinking from people who would probably, my guess is, hold themselves out as believing in Jesus. Like this, we have crossed the point of no return. This was it. Charlie Kirk's shooting. That's it. I guess I wonder who gets to be the Rubicon decider. Who anointed you the decider of what was the line and what we couldn't possibly walk back from? Why couldn't this be the thing that softens hearts? If 5% of people say, I want to go with the values of Christ and kingdom values in how we agree, disagree, make policy, whatever, and even if my ideas aren't perfect, I want to have a soft heart about it. I want to have a soft heart toward other people. That would bring about significant societal change, just 5%. So why couldn't it be that? I hear other people using this phrase, you don't hate them enough. It's time for the West to learn to hate. And people are saying this, they got Christian tags and stuff on their account. They got Christian handles, they got Jesus in their bio. What? It sounds nothing like Jesus. What are you talking about? And why are you the decider of when it's time to hate? I don't think we should listen to these people. And I guess this is one point of practical advice for how to move forward that I'd like to offer. If somebody isn't even willing to put their name and their face behind it, and they're telling you that it's war, or it's time to hate, or who to hate, they just don't count. You just wad that up and throw it away. There's a sense of panic from those who still cling to that religiously and angrily with hatred in their heart. There's a dream of the 20 teens that some people had. Some of them had it out of goodwill, and they really thought this was a good vision for the future, that a hard, bordering on communist, mid-20th century communist-style color revolution leftism was the way forward. I'm not talking about liberalism.
So I have friends who believed in that, all going all the way back to college. We actually eventually had fallouts, not directly because of that, but their lifestyle and my lifestyle became incompatible with each other. I think Matt Whitman's directly on point here. You can't have self-destructive or societal destructive people in your life, not 24/7. You have to go to work, you have to eat, you have to care for your family. If you have kids, you have to feed them, you have to bathe them. If you're fighting all the time, if you're doing drugs all the time. I remember one friend who I loved dearly, and her boyfriend thought I liked her, and I had to explain to him in matter-of-fact terms that because of her drug addiction, I didn't find her attractive at all. She was bipolar, and she had a lot of problems staying in school, holding down a job, taking care of her kid. And she's a very good friend of mine. She's a very good intellectual. She was more on the political side than the philosophical side, but she was an activist in the same way that I was an activist at that time. And it was hard to see her struggle. Eventually, she broke up with the drug user and eventually got together with a more stable man. And he was, I think, a professor, and they have a very good life now. But my friend, he didn't recover from the breakup, at least not anytime soon afterwards. And after that, we had our falling out. So I don't know what happened to him after that. I think Matt's right. You can't live in hate. If you live in hate, if you live in revenge, you're just going to downward spiral. Forgiveness of the self and forgiveness of others is the only way forward. Yes, there is a time for defense, for protectivism, even for attack, but that time has to be short. It has to be instantaneous. It has to be in the moment of the tragedy. I think if you're still, and I've seen this on Twitter, if you're still either fighting for Charlie Kirk or you're still fighting against him, I think you've lost the thread. My priest took time out of the Mass to say that Charlie wasn't a martyr. I think that's a terrible mistake. He has no way of knowing. Only the Church, only the Pope can really declare such a thing, or an ecumenical council can declare such a thing. And if Charlie Kirk becomes a saint in the Protestant sense, and a Protestant denomination was to be adopted by the Catholic Church, he would be a saint within the Catholic Church. So disregarding or dismissing Charlie Kirk's holiness or sacrifice for Christ, I think it's a mistake. So for those who are hating on Charlie Kirk, both on the right and the left, it's been 2 weeks, man, or a little bit more than 2 weeks now. Quit your shit. Like, a man died.
I'm talking about a hard leftism. They thought this would be the way forward. Probably a lot of them thought that there would be life in it and that it would help people and that it would be good. Well, history has weighed these ideas and found them to be wanting many times over. And right now, that color revolution leftism style response to the problems of the day is roundly being rejected. That isn't to say that hard rightism is what people want, nor is it to say that it should be what people want. Instead, the reaction against hard leftism and the collapse of the new atheism movement and the era of deconstruction has been a softening of hearts and a reconstruction in the lives of so many people who were raised, like I was, around faith, then had it break, then had it come back together. That's my story. I'm seeing it in other people as well. People's eyes, me too. And it's not just the Charlie Kirk thing. We've seen other outrageous things. But the scales are falling off the eyes of people. Full commissioning. Often, with the best of intentions, I'm sure, I hear this passage mishandled. And people will say, well, it's like everything in life. It's right in the middle. You want to be pretty shrewd and strategic and
Yeah. We just lost camera 1. It's okay. All right, continuing.
read the room and all that, but also you want to be pretty innocent. But if you're too innocent, you won't be shrewd enough. And if you're too shrewd, you won't be innocent enough. So truth is right in the middle. You want to be half innocent, but also half really bad. And half shrewd, but also half really gullible and dumb. What? No, that doesn't make any sense. It's clearly the Kirk family. Well, he says this, 1 Peter 4:7. The end of all things is near. Therefore, be clear-minded and self-controlled so that you feel it. You feel dumber than you felt a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. You're having more trouble gathering your thoughts. Get rid of the stupid waterfall apps on your phone that make your brain not work as well, but also that are damaging your heart and your sense of things and are letting stupid voices have a way outsized volume in the conversation that's happening in your head. Delete it. If you need to be around those things to keep your finger on the pulse of...
One of the comments that Protestant YouTubers receive all the time is, "What are you protesting?" And I'll be honest, I used to find these comments somewhat...
I think we're going to wait for that one. Let's go to this one.
It's crazy how much can change in just a few days. Earlier this week, I recorded a video, which is probably one of my most passionate and emotional that I've filmed in quite a while. And it's about the slippery slope of choosing anger instead of hope, of catechizing a culture and catechizing a generation of Christians in the way of being angry and defining ourselves by who we hate. And I was proud of the video, and I recorded it, and I scheduled it to go out on Friday. And then yesterday, the news broke that Charlie Kirk was shot and killed at an event in Utah. And now look, I didn't know Charlie. I didn't even really watch much of his content, but I think like many of you, I was shaken up at the idea of just what this represented, of a young man being killed and leaving behind a wife and kids, all for being a political spokesperson. I trust if Charlie and I would have met, we would have disagreed on a whole lot, but I think we would have agreed in the need to engage with people with whom we disagree. And it was awful to see what happened. And it was in the wake of that today and yesterday I've been wrestling with what to do with that video. Because in some ways I think it's even more needed now. When terrible things happen, it elicits the strongest emotions in us, for better or worse. And I think right now, we as a church, we as a culture, are in a place where we can choose to get angry, to be defined by anger, and to express that anger in the most destructive of ways, as we've seen, not only with Charlie Kirk, but in instances of political violence across both sides of the aisle, and senseless killings of children in schools, and in so much more. We can choose to be defined by hate, or we can dare to hope in Jesus when we have so many reasons not to. I hope that this video is received in that same spirit, that we all can choose. So anyway, now look, a wide variety of factors have played into this, not least of which are things like a global pandemic that caused people to spend crucial formative years isolated and instilled in them a sense that other people are threats to your well-being. Those things are very real and difficult. It's not just this empty look that's making people uneasy, though. Rates of depression and anxiety are skyrocketing, and many are sounding the alarms. But this video isn't actually about Gen Z. I'm not here to bash them or lament about kids these days. This video is actually about people like you and me. People who are looking at our culture and our work. Is this really real? Watching a Christian pastor and professor defend the notion that it's okay for Christians to use insults like small-breasted biddies to refer to women they don't like, or to litter our speech with expletives if the target is right, was one of those moments for me. But perhaps it shouldn't have surprised me. After all, anger works. But here's the thing. Most of the time, what brings people in is what keeps them there. We might...
So, while I agree with him, I know that some people were affected by this situation more than others. I just feel like he's one of these people who was affected more than others. Okay, we're going to do these three later. Let's go into this one here. We're almost done, guys. We're going to do like 2 more videos.
In my last video, I shared my testimony of how I went from practicing Hinduism to Protestantism to now practicing Catholicism. I shared my story of how, in the lowest moment of my life, I prayed to God for direction, and I heard him say to me, look into Catholicism. I asked him for a physical confirmation on that, and 2 days later, this was brought to my house. In this video, I'll be explaining some Catholic theology, the basics of the church and the faith, from the perspective of someone who's newly discovering it. So I am in OCIA, and before I joined OCIA, I had been attending Mass for a few months.
So, she's not Catholic yet. It's important to note.
When Jesus was on this earth, he fulfilled and replaced the Old Covenant, which was based on Mosaic law, and he established the New Covenant, which is the promise of forgiveness.
No, I am not, but I did want to play with you today, actually tonight, but I wasn't sure I was going to get home on time, and then when I got here, I got stuck trying to fix the audio in the video. This camera turns off too often for it to be my main. I want it to be my main, but it turns off too often. This camera, on the other hand, I don't like this angle. We'll figure it out.
Closeness and unity with God.
What game is it that you're playing, BS? Because I want to download it so I can play it with you.
By Jesus' sacrificial death on the cross, instituted at the Last Supper, and endlessly made present in the sacrament of the Eucharist. Apostolic succession is a foundational doctrine of the Church. Jesus handpicked, trained, and gave his apostles authority to serve as the foundation of the new covenant. Apostolic succession continues the original work of the apostles by transmitting teachings, authority, and the sacraments through an unbroken line.
Guys, I want to keep going, but I am so tired. Call to the Lamb. Okay, I'll check it out. Let's find something else because I am falling asleep, guys. I'm going to go here, here, and then here, and this will be the last one. The last one will be Ordinary Catholic, who's now Ordinary Ruined Catholic. And okay.
Hey, noble ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and yes, we do live in a dystopian reality, don't we? So apparently Keir, I can't even pronounce it, Keir Starmer has got something to say. Do you? Alright, Mrs. Starmer, convince me that this is a good idea.
I love and have pride in my country. I want to serve the whole of our country, our beautiful, tolerant, diverse country, and I want to serve the whole of that country.
So, I get that why people are paranoid about this. I mean, I lived through the 90s. We were worried about the mark of the beast. I wasn't, because I didn't care. But there are people who did, and took it super seriously. My dad loves Hal Lindsey, so my dad took it super seriously.
And I was arguing against reform because reform do not believe in that country. They want to tear that country apart. What was said last week about deporting migrants who are lawfully here, who've been here for years, working in our hospitals, in our schools, running businesses, our neighbours, and reform say they want to deport them. That would tear our country apart.
Is that immoral
We are at the moment a leading member of the coalition of the willing, corralling and bringing together European countries to fight the aggression of Putin. Imagine if reform came in and they were cozying up to Putin.
The tolerant people. Insane how a word that initially had such a nice ring to it has now become a red flag. It is a red flag because the very people that say tolerant will dance on your grave for your opinion.
True.
So maybe the first question that we can ask on that side of things is, how do we know that the New Testament is from God? Because if you think about the Old Testament, you have Jesus himself in the Gospels calling the Old Testament the Word of God, referring to it as the commands of God. Of course, he cited it and referred to it and quoted it many, many times, as we read about in the New Testament. But how do we know that the New Testament is also from God? How could we make that case?
Well, I think a lot of it actually goes back to what you just said as far as who is Jesus of Nazareth, who he was. So in the 12 points that show Christianity is true, you know, you've got this progression of arguments, and by the time...
she's just not the smartest host, and he's just not the... I mean, I know nothing about him right now, but yeah, it's not going to be good.
Whatever step it is, 8 or 9, by the time you get to that step about who Jesus is and his miracles demonstrate who he was and so forth and so on, then what Jesus says is true is true. Okay, so that would support the truthfulness of the Old Testament. But then you have him, the same Jesus, again, without going into this backstory of all these steps of who Jesus of Nazareth is, and bringing in his resurrection, which demonstrates who he is. And, you know, Gary Habermas, do I even need to mention that name? But you have this same Jesus promising in the Gospels, his close apostles, he's promising them the truth. He's promising them the Holy Spirit. He's promising to lead them into...
All right, here we're just going to read the
Hi there, Renee Asdale of Lowell, Massachusetts, and we're all here suffering here in the United States, but we're being distracted by propagandists, by lobbyists who are paid by oligarchs who only care about power, sex, and money, and they will pervert the Catholic faith. Also, I'm going to be talking about work with dignity, the consistent pro-life ethic, and I'm going to be calling out Lela Rose at the end, guys. Just saying what I think of her. She's a lobbyist. She's a propagandist. She's not really pro-life. Simple as that. I'm a terrible Catholic influencer talking about affordable housing and not demonic possession. How will I get my Hallow app sponsorship? Now, no offense to the individual, I think his name is Alex, who was the CEO. Unfortunately, he used private equity. He pretty much opened a portal of bad influence into the Hallow app, and everybody has to be this Catholic content creator for that. It's highly propagandist. That's the nicest way to say. It's about a celebrity culture of influence and not actually serving those most in need. Sorry to Alex from the Hallow app, okay? I'm just saying I can't trust your app because of what's occurring
And I'll counter by saying Mark Wahlberg.
right now. It's being perverted and misused, not for the common good, okay? Not for the common good. I'm sorry, Alex. 7 likes. I got 7 likes on this comment. I got 10 views, but 7 likes. I got 2 likes on the video. 7 likes on the post here. So, work with dignity. If you go here, I talk about, you know, I have 4 kids. I was full-time, then a stay-at-home mom, then I worked part-time. I did so much volunteer work, and I thought the second half of my life would have a career.
So I'm going to say this. I right now am through, let's call it indentured servitude, have a PA. Eventually, she's going to need a job. So once she's at work, ordinary Catholic, Renee, I believe, I'm going to be looking for a PA. I'm going to be looking for an editor. Remote is fine. Hit me up. If you truly need a job, I can pay you just a little bit above minimum wage. And maybe we can do something. I'm already talking to a few other people about helping me edit the scripts. I need someone to help with social media and a few other aspects of this. We're trying to go big time. I know that's not exactly your goal, but who knows? Hit me up.
And it did not happen. I have so many transferable skills. I have so many accomplishments. And I feel so much humiliation and shame. I feel humiliated and shamed. And I would do anything, honestly, but because I'm so overqualified in this terrible economy, like I couldn't, like nobody would hire me even to do something that I'm overqualified for. You know, you see these individuals, tens of thousands of people being...
When I was going through my little sabbatical, I actually did take a job working at Wingstop. That was a terrible job. It was really tough. A lot of hard work. At 44, 45, did not feel good.
laid off, you know, and they're trying to apply to retail, or they're trying to do Uber, or like DoorDash, and like people like DoorDash and Uber and Lyft are sometimes saying no new, you know, people doing this. We just we're flooded. Anyway, it destroys your car anyways if you do that. So I have no shame in work with dignity, and this was something I did as a volunteer project. I'm trying not to go into details, but like I was posting this on LinkedIn 2 years ago. I'm like, oh my goodness, some Catholic nonprofits gonna just this is like, and I did speak to Catholic recruiters 2 years ago. They loved me, but they're like, this landscape of what's happened to Catholic influencers and Catholic nonprofits has totally distorted everything. There's an unfortunate, I always be critical of Catholic Answers, and people are like, that's not really nice. Catholic Answers used to be a great nonprofit that really did help people who had a natural inquiry about the Catholic faith. Now it's just vile apologetic debates, a culture war. It's very clear it serves the propaganda of the right, guys. Just saying, it's obvious. So being a consistent pro-life Catholic is one of the things why I stayed Catholic. It's why I love God's love. I love God's love. It is from conception to natural death, and the dignity of everybody on this earth. And as a faithful Catholic, you don't get to pick and choose. You don't get to pick and choose. Now, you might have your one nonprofit, like somebody might care about, you know, the homeless or maybe pregnant women. But what has happened in recent years is the Catholic faith has been so perverted by influencers, lobbyists, propagandists. There are some really questionable converts. Like, I feel bad, like, when you entered the Catholic faith, were you paying attention to what the priests were saying, or were you just binging off of something that wasn't even Catholic online for hours on end? Some fake nostalgic propaganda that really never existed. So if you go here.
So I would actually say that it's more like Trent Horn and even Jimmy Akin to an extent, and a lot of the other Catholic and even Christian and broader Protestant apologists are creating their own form of Christianity and their own form of Catholicism, where it's not true Catholicism, it's not true Christianity, it's not the lived faith, it's not the lived experience of the faithful. It's this kind of hybrid entertainment version of Christianity, and I think that's actually kind of sad.
I did a video called Another Fake AI Catholic Slop Channel. And literally, because Catholicism is trending, people would try to make these outrage bait videos with the fake AI, with like girls, with ladies, fake AI women with big, breasts. And it's like, well, I'm not making any views off of this. I'll make fake Catholic AI slop. And it was just a video about that. So I am going to talk about, I'm just so completely broken right now.
Absolutely have
pro-life.
to. This is going to be the last video, but we are going to do just a little bit of Christ Defender. Okay? Just a little bit.
So Lila Rose, what it means to be pro-life is not defined by His Holiness, but the pro-life movement itself. Catholics are well represented in the movement, but also Protestants, Jews. Lila Rose, no, she's not. Lila Rose is not a champion of the pro-life movement. She's like warned in an interview the danger of diluting the definition with other social issues. Woo! No, you're a lobbyist to serve Republicans. You exploit the issue of abortion to serve conservatives, just like they.
Just to be fair, I am a conservative, and I am a Republican, like a registered Republican. So, clearly, I've platformed her more than a few times on my channel. I like Ordinary Catholic, Ordinary Ruined Catholic, but at the end of the day, I'm still a Republican. Alpha, become a AI scripter. You'll get rich.
There's propagandists on the left who exploit the fear of women being.
Actually, my goal is to be earning a steady $4,000 a month from YouTube within the next 6 months.
Being abandoned by pregnancy and then resorting to maybe terminating the pregnancy. They exploit women on the left, the propagandists on the left. You're just a propagandist on the right. You're a propagandist on the right. Are you Catholic? Oh, no. No. Pro-life is from conception to natural death. That's what it is. You don't get to manipulate it. You don't get to manipulate that. Pro-life is from conception to natural death. And yes, I don't use contraception. I don't use contraception, guys. For 25 years of my marriage, don't use contraception if you're questioning that. I don't do other acts on my husband. He doesn't do other acts on me either. How about that for TMI? But I just want to let you know how pro-life I am. All right? I'm like, I ain't buying this. And I go, Lila Rose is nothing but a high-paid lobbyist to give money to Republicans. She hasn't done anything actually to help the unborn. Sorry, Lila. That's your attitude. If pro-life means actually caring for the child after it's born, which means things like affordable housing, guys.
I will say this. If you saw her go up against, I think it was Allie Beth Stuckey. It could have been the other one that I was confused for her. But, yeah, Lila Rose didn't do a very good job. She just didn't. She's really good, by the way. Like, I think her argument, her pro-life argument, is the only pro-life argument I've ever bought into. But yeah, Lila Rose did not do very well against. I'm going to say it's Allie Beth Stuckey. I don't think it's Alicia Childers, although it could have been.
Anyways, and then she said, "I'm not pro-life." Okay, I'm not pro-life because I'm pro-life from conception to natural death. That's the argument people are making here. How? I'm like, I'm very much pro-life. I will let my virtue be exploited by greedy lobbyists that serve themselves. Being pro-life doesn't mean being a gullible idiot.
The amount of passion in her voice. Okay, we're going to do just a little bit of Christ Defender. I meant to do Christ Defender altogether, and I don't even think I have her on here. So we're going to do some Christ Defender, and I'm going to ask you all to donate to her channel. Christ Defender. Defender. There we go. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of her shorts, and then we'll do a little bit of a video that I liked.
Well, Matt, I can't even be mad at you because you went ahead and became a patron. Hello, welcome to the show. My name's Christ Defender. I appreciate your suggestions and I'll think about them. I'm not going to lie, you could have said it in a nicer way. I'm doing my best. Well, Matt, I can't even be mad at you. Craig woke up today and chose violence. Why he chose violence, that's between him and the Lord. I'm just out here. I'll tell you something, Craig. This is my job. Craig, if you hate your job...
So I wanted to watch... That's a terrible...
Do what you...
Okay. So I put a comment under this video, and unfortunately it got yeeted. I think it was YouTube. I don't think it was her. But here's what I'm going to say. She's doing this professionally, and she's struggling a little bit. I've helped her out before. I've donated to her Patreon before. We're gonna, if there's a link to her Patreon, we're gonna show you that link right now before we sign out. But here's the deal. My studio was a mess. I started living in, after my divorce, I started living in my studio instead of living in my bedroom, because I don't know. And it was a mess. I had cleaned it up, I cleaned it out, and then immediately within like 3 or 4 days, it became a mess again. And then my cousin came in, and I just didn't do nothing. So basically, I decided to fix up my studio. There's a video on here. You can go watch it. You can see the steps that I took. It's still being tweaked, especially with the audio equipment. We're still tweaking some things here. But it took maybe about 9 days total for me to clean out the room. And it cost me about $3,000 initially. Right now, we're just under $4,000 of equipment and of supplies and of furniture. So it was expensive. So she's not kidding. To do this professionally, you need money, you need income. I know that ordinary Catholic does seem to have a little bit of an issue with us who do it for money. Mind you, I'll say it again because people forget, this is not a Catholic channel. This is not a Christian channel. I am an anti-apologist. I engage in anti-apologetics. I'm a philosopher. I'm trying to go back to school to become an academic. So, yes, we do debate reviews here. We do book reviews here. But we're not just talking about Christianity. We talk about Buddhism, Taoism, everything. But at the end of the day, I'm still a Catholic. And at the end of the day, she's defending the Catholic faith in a proper way that is very good. So I support Christ Defender, and I think you should too. Because she's not being a propagandist. She's not being a pawn or an instrument of Hollow or any of these other for-profit Christian apps, Christian organizations, Catholic organizations. No, she's truly just sharing the faith and defending the faith, and I think that should be supported. I wish more Catholics were doing what she's doing, a simple and ready defense, not a highfalutin, semi-political argument that's more about politics and less about faith, and more about the cultural and less about the spiritual warfare. So I think she's doing it right. I think a lot of people are doing it wrong, and that includes Trent Horn.
Passionate about life's too... Craig woke up today and chose violence.
Hello. It's that time of month again, I'm afraid, where I've got to ask you lot for financial support. I'm just trying to do the thing I love, okay? My unofficial unpaid manager seems to think that people don't become patrons because the perks aren't good enough. If that's true, could you let me know? I've got to pay my rent tomorrow, and I'm £300 short. My monthly need is about £900. I ain't making that. So, if you like what I do, I would like you to support me, because I can't do what I'm doing without your support. Because you see this roof? This roof? Pay for it. Become a patron. Have early access to all YouTube videos. If you don't want to become a patron because you've got commitment issues or whatever, there's a link to donate via PayPal. So if you want to just do a one-off to help me out for this month, I would really appreciate that, because I don't have any other options. So yeah, thanks.
Okay, so let's go back to her videos real quick, and then we'll call it a night. We're gonna get one video. I don't know which one yet. We're not gonna watch the whole thing. Can a Catholic... You know what? I'm married to / divorced from an atheist / separated / reconciled. It's very complicated. Let's see what her opinion is of my marriage, or the lack thereof.
Marriage.
An atheist from a Buddhist family in an atheistic country, in a secular country, in a communist country, in a socialist country. I don't know. It's complicated. China's a complicated place. It's really like hyper capitalistic, by the way. I've been there multiple times. But sure, call it a communist country, whatever.
Catholic. The term non-Catholic can mean a couple different things, and the difference matters. You could mean a baptized non-Catholic Christian, which in theory would be better than a non-baptized person, someone of a different faith entirely. Why would you do it though? You know, that's my question. Only God knows. What does the church say? Marriage is a sacred covenant. This is not poetic.
So for those who are wondering, in the Catholic Church, I am not divorced because I was never married in the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church did not recognize my marriage. We had a trial. She got before a council committee. I don't know. It's like a group of like 4 or 5 old guys. And she was interviewed, and they had us go do some paperwork. They wanted statements from her family about the ex-husband, that it was an invalid marriage. We never got to that stage because COVID happened. And the issue was just kind of tabled, and that's it. So, I'm not officially married in the Catholic Church, so I can still get married again. So there's that. I mean, that's kind of cool.
Language. This is not a metaphor. Marriage is a sacrament. This is unlike the non-Catholic Christian view or theology or understanding or practice of marriage. However, regardless of whether the non-Catholic Christian assents to the sacramental view of marriage, your marriage can still be valid and even sacramental in the eyes of the Catholic Church, assuming you are both baptized and free to marry. If a Catholic marries a non-Catholic Christian, he or she must obtain the Church's permission. Why? That seems controlling. No, it's not. Because a Catholic is required to promise that any children born of this marriage will be raised Catholic, that they will, to the best of their ability, raise their kids Catholic. The non-Catholic Christian you're marrying is aware of this commitment that you must make, but they don't necessarily have to agree. They are under no obligation. You can already imagine the kinds of...
So I have a stepson. He's a Buddhist. His grandmother's a Buddhist. He's been my stepson since he was 7. He's now 17. So we're talking about like 10 years now. Obviously, the first year, me and his mother were just dating. But he's been in my life for that long. And so me and my wife's arguments have never been about religion. That's not what we argue about. And it's never been a factor in our relationship. We've never had any stress about religion. She's not curious about it. She's not interested in it. I've taken her to many church services when we were first dating because she was curious about it then. She mostly just fell asleep. Didn't matter if it was Baptist, Catholic, whatever. She would just fall asleep during the services. It was like perfect nap time for her. Religion bores her. Theology bores her. Philosophy bores her. So these are not the things that we argue about. These are not the things that she cares about. I'm able to practice my religion completely. I'm able to do the Liturgy of the Hours. I'm able to pray 5 times a day. I'm able to do all of that. That never interfered with our marriage. So when we did finally separate, it had to do with more with my dad's illness and the Alzheimer's and me choosing to step away from work to take care of him more. Those were bigger factors than religion ever was. So,
of problems you may be headed toward. So while the differences of Christian confession are not insurmountable in marriage, they definitely will pose difficulties that must not be underestimated. Don't be naive. Difficulties like the tragedy of Christian disunity in the domestic church, the home, leading to sources of tension, especially when it comes to children. Hence, as far as I'm aware, the church discourages mixed marriages because they inevitably involve pain. Pain directly.
I will disagree with that.
Due to the tragedy of Christian disunity, you both chose.
I would say it would be much harder for a Catholic and a Protestant, let's say here a low church Protestant, someone maybe a Calvinist and a Catholic to get along than it would be for an atheist and a Catholic to get along. So, while I get what she's saying, the differences within the body of Christ are more pronounced than the differences from without the body of Christ, because the difference is already obvious. It's not like you're arguing about whether or not the blood and the wine is real presence or symbolic. You're arguing about taxes. It's a different setup. So while they might think you going to church is a hobby and that it might be a waste of time, it's not going to be, see, the camera just keeps going out. It's not going to be as demanding as she thinks it will be. The taxation from a secular to religious person is not going to be on the metaphysical side of things. That's not where your arguments are. That's going to be as if you marry someone who has a similar faith but has different theology.
Open yourselves and your future children up to. Marriage is hard enough for the spouses. The world makes it hard. Our issues make it hard. Satan hates you. Why make it decidedly worse, not only for yourselves, but for your future children? So we know that this is a risk, okay? It's a risk to join yourself to someone for the rest of your life with whom you have significant differences in theology and therefore in your values. You're taking this risk. Why? Is it romance? Sexual attraction? Is it comfort? Is it convenience? What is the wager here? And how does it measure up with what is at risk?
So the reason why I married my now, I guess, ex-wife is because she challenged me to be a better person and she challenged me to do the right thing. To be very blunt, I live in a Catholic community and most of the Catholic available women are single mothers and drug addicts, and I don't want to date a drug addict. I don't want that in my life. But my wife/ex-wife, she doesn't do drugs. She's an academic. She works really hard, and she has really strong goals and really strong morals. The only place that me and her really disagree when it comes to morality would be abortion. And even then, she doesn't think abortion is right for her, and she doesn't want that for herself. But she does think it should be right for women. That's where me and her disagree, because I'm Catholic. I submit to the Catholic Church's teaching on that. Outside of that, most of our morals are actually pretty tight. They're pretty similar. So yeah.
If the spouses aren't united in the most important area of life, or if they are indifferent to it, that is, one's relationship to God, how that's understood and lived out, this is the most important area of life. This can lead to confusion, to weak faith, to division, and even to lost faith on the part of the children or of the spouses, and a myriad of other things. So we can all acknowledge reasonably that it's a risk. So what are you risking for? Because the thing that you're risking is Christian unity and the faith of your future children. What are you putting that on the line for? I'm not saying it could never possibly work, but I think it's safe to say more often than it does work, it doesn't. So can Catholics marry non-Catholics? Can I regards possibility? May I regards permission? Should I regards, well, wisdom? You'll have to consider all three. before making your decision. And it is your decision. This isn't a dictatorship. You have free will, and you have the information that you need to make a good decision. My decision, as a Catholic woman, should I choose to marry, would be to marry a Catholic. It would be to pursue a Catholic marriage. I do not want the inevitable pains of Christian disunity in my marriage, nor within the lives of my children. So in my opinion, if you are a Catholic Christian pursuing marriage, though you can and may enter a mixed marriage, you should pursue a Catholic marriage.
Okay, that's it. That's it for today, guys. Whoa. Hey, we don't have a camera there. There we go. All right, so outside of me having a few issues still with the camera A, camera B is working great. So there we go. Let's take that off. Let's do this here. I think this was a good episode. I think this was fun. I hope the sound is better this time. We are going to try the Rode mic once we get the Go XLR to work. But for now, for this week, have a great one. I am going to start posting on my other channels. The next step, I believe, is Discord. We have a 16-week plan. I think the next step is Discord. I'm not sure. And then Substack. Kip, I do have a definition ready for you of religion. I did read that out on my last live stream, but that portion of the live stream was yeeted by YouTube because of Dan McKillen's best friend was saying a lot of naughty words that YouTube doesn't like. So, red flags aside, I'll talk to you all later. And remember, God loves you, so love your enemy, love yourself, love your neighbor, and love your brother. And remember that God forgives you. So forgive your enemy, forgive yourself, forgive your neighbor, forgive your family, and remember, above all, love God. Thanks for watching. Have a great night. See you all next week.
Go. We used to have fun, hang out and smoke. Watch a little you know what a show. Drink a little bit of this, little that to cope. Yeah, wait, we used to have fun, right? Sleep in short days, but the long nights. You always love to go play, what a fun guy. But now you seem so lame, what a shame, right? Hey, come back, let's get high. We can have another run like the good times. We can have a little fun, just recline, need time. Hit over the wheel, you'll be just fine. Yeah, you know I'm always here for you. Life gets hard, there's a lot of fear for you. You know I can make it all disappear for you. Only one time, you'll be fine, man, I'll cheer for you. No, I don't wanna get back to a place that I really don't like, so I really gotta go.